I just don't want to waste time, man. It's been an eventful day because I would say up until about just 30 to 40 minutes ago when Devin Haney just tweeted at me, I would say the highlight of the day on social media was, myself and then one of the Filipino riders and my man Joel. We was talking to Oscar Collazo on Twitter. And Oscar Collazo, or Collazo, I use the Hispanic pronunciation. Oscar Collazo is on the pound for pound list. He's one of the premier little men in boxing right now, and he's a very good fighter. And I got a lot of respect for his skills. I think right now, if we're talking about pound for pound skills, unless Xander Zayas beats Jerron Ennis right now, I think the best Puerto Rican fighter in the sport right now is Oscar Collazo, unless Xander beats Boots Ennis. But as much as I like Oscar, and I love Oscar Collazo, I've been covering him here on True School Sports since I think 2023 when the two Japanese fighters, the Shigeoka brothers, were champions, and at one point in time, the big fights were supposed to be Collazo versus Jinjiro Shigeoka or Yudai Shigeoka. Obviously, we know how that's went. Jinjiro almost died against Pedro Taduran, and Yudai retired from boxing to take care of Jinjiro. So they've been supplanted now, and Pedro Taduran became one of the guys in the division. Oscar Collazo was trying to fight Melvin Jerusalem, right? Melvin Jerusalem just lost over the weekend to the new world champion Hughes from South Africa. So it's been frustrating because I believe Oscar Collazo could beat Pedro Taduran. I do think he could beat him and become undisputed. But the fight he was targeting and that Golden Boy was vocal about wasn't Taduran. It was Jerusalem, who he already beat. So people like me grew a bit frustrated, and we started to voice our opinions about the fact that, hey, like, you already beat Melvin Jerusalem, why not fight Pedro? Pedro, we feel, could present some challenges to you. Obviously you're very skilled. But anyway, we actually got, and when I say we, I don't mean me, because he wasn't even really talking to me. He was talking more so to like Joel. So Joel, out of everybody here, Joel really deserves the brunt of the credit. Hold on, let me find it. I gotta find it because I had this shit earlier. Now it's not here. But where is it? I just had it. See, hold on. Make sure you guys smash a like button while I'm sitting here looking for this tweet, of Oscar Collazo basically calling out. Here you go. So here you go. Look. So right here, as you guys can see, Oscar Collazo says he tells Joel, who was in the tweets, that I can't wait to get that fight. But we were talking about the new champion from South Africa, Hughes, and then Pedro Taduran. So he didn't explicitly say a name. He just said, I can't wait to get that fight. So then I asked him, I said, Pedro Taduran. And then to that, Joel and the Filipino writer, they stayed on Collazo, and he said right there, bring on that man. So I'll put the whole thread for you guys. He said, let me pull it up for you because I want to give Joel his just due. He comes here, he's a loyal viewer, but it was him. Where is it? It was this guy right here and Joel. They was pressing Oscar Collazo about the fight, and he said, yeah, bring on that man. I'm not scared of nobody, please. So he's saying, look, he want to fight Oscar Collazo. He wants to go ahead and solidify himself as and further solidify himself as the man of the division. And I think that's great. I think people should rejoice and be excited about that because, when you talk about the best fights in boxing to make under the featherweight limit, I would say that's one of the top 5. Oscar Collazo is the most complete fighter in the division. He's proven to be that throughout his career. But Pedro Taduran, he's the big time puncher. He's the guy that got the Shigeoka brothers out the damn sport. He's definitely flawed. He's got 4 losses for a reason, but he's gotten better since those losses, and he seems to have found his groove. He's really hit his stride in his career. So obviously, I make Collazo the favorite. I think he would beat Taduran, and then that could potentially set up the undisputed with the South African, or who knows? Collazo might fight the South African first, get that belt, and then get Taduran last. Either way he decides to do it, Oscar Collazo has options. He could fight either one of the two champions, or he might just say, you know what, I'm done with 105. I've already won the Ring Magazine belt here. I've already proven my value in the sport, what I'm capable of. He might go to 108 pounds and fight Rene Santiago, who is the unified champion up there. That's Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico. that's a chance to get 2 more belts, 2 division champion. So he's got options. I think they're gonna evaluate, they being Oscar Collazo, Miguel Cotto Promotions, and Golden Boy, and they'll go from there. But I think if I gotta make a guess on what I think Oscar Collazo will do next, I think Golden Boy, and this is what I would do if I was in a management position, I would throw a bunch of money at the African guy, Cuse. I would get him to come to the States, or Puerto Rico, or whatever they feel is better and makes more financial sense, the States or Puerto Rico, and then pick up that 3rd belt, and then get to Pedro Taduran last, because he's dangerous, and the risk has to match the reward, and I think the risk would match the reward if it's for undisputed, right? Now, as a fan, I can tell you that I would be over the moon if Collazo fought Pedro Taduran next, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen next based on how Golden Boy have moved in the past. But it's just good. It's good to see Oscar Collazo acknowledge the fact that he's willing, ready, and able to fight Pedro Taduran, because he wasn't really mentioning him for a while. So that's what it is. Joshua says Collazo is going to beat Pedro Taduran, and I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him to win. I think Pedro is dangerous, but I don't think he's very flawed. He's very flawed. I think Collazo probably stops him late and gives a skillful performance. Maybe he gets hit with something early on, but I think Collazo has enough tools in the toolbox to win that fight. But it's dangerous. It is a dangerous fight, and that's why we want to see it. When you get a guy like that who knows how to punch through the target, it's a fun proposition for a guy like Collazo to tackle. That's what made it. And I'm gonna mention him again because he's over here on Twitter. Devin Haney. That's why people tuned in to Devin Haney versus Brian Pillman Jr. because Brian Pillman Jr. was knocking people spark out, and they wanted to see if he could do that to Devin Haney, and obviously he didn't do that. So people tune in. When you get a top upper echelon boxer versus a guy who's a big time puncher getting crazy knockouts, people are going to want to tune in because they want to see if the knockout artist can knock out the boxer the way to the other guys, and vice versa. They want to see the boxer can tame the knockout artist. Now, most of the time, the boxer will probably tame the knockout artist, but sometimes people fall in love with knockouts and the knockout artist. So, got to have more than just knockout power to beat top upper echelon fighters. Paul says, hold on. My man Cyrus says, minimum weight only has 300 fighters. Man, Oscar unified a middle school. He did. He did. But I don't like downplaying fighters' achievements. You go in there, you win. You can't control how big you are. Not everybody can be the heavyweight. Not everyone can be a heavyweight or middleweight or welterweight. Some guys are just born smaller, and he was definitely born one of those smaller guys. So yeah, I would definitely I would agree with you. Minimum weight's pretty thin. There's not a lot of minimum weights in the world. There's like 300 minimum weight fighters in the whole weight class, and I think at welterweight there's probably like 2,000 or close to it. So it's a deeper pool of talent when you're talking about the higher weight classes.